There are a few things in life I could not see myself living without. Red wine, my Porsche 911, and the sweet, soulful voice of Adele.
Feel the earth move and
There I was just the other day, sitting in my library with a cup of warm tea, being serenaded by the angel herself. I couldn't help but wonder, how much does Adele make from the glorious melodies? And thus came the topic of my next video. How much does a hit song really make you? In this video, I'll break down all of the ways in which a song on the top charts can bring loads of cash to the artist who wrote it. There are plenty of money pits that these hit songs pull from, but the biggest cash cows include that of streaming services, royalties, physical or digital sales, and concerts or any sort of live performances. Before we get started, it's important to note that a musical artist's earnings vary based on the contract between them and their record label. So, to make things easy, let's assume that the hypothetical hit song we're analyzing is one written and performed by that of an independent artist, unburdened by contractual ties to a tyrannical record label. Pardon me, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Mr. Luxury, and if you're interested for more videos about all things money can buy, then make sure to check out my channel. There's a link at the top of the description. So, let us begin with all of the cash gathered from streaming services. In this day and age, streaming music is much more common than actually buying the music. It's becoming more and more rare for people to actually purchase an album physically in CD form or via digital copy like iTunes or Napster. These days, listeners just pay a monthly fee for a streaming platform like Spotify or Apple Music and listen to any music their groovy heart desires. So, if an artist writes a hit song, it will inevitably end up on the top playlists of these streaming platforms. Let's look at Spotify specifically. A reasonable estimate for the number of streams a hit song will garner is about 5 million per week. If we're talking massive hits, like say Blurred Lines or Gangnam Style, well, then you're looking at more like 7 million plus. On Spotify, the holder of the music gets $0.006 of a dollar per stream. Seems rather small, doesn't it? Well, multiply that by 5 million and you're left with $30,000. Let's just assume for a minute that the song is on the top charts for a year. Of course, songs rarely, if ever, sit atop the charts for an entire year, but if it somehow managed to, the income from Spotify alone would be well over 1.5 million. Then you've got Apple Music, and where Spotify pays about $7 per thousand streams, Apple pays between $12 and $15. There's plenty of other streaming platforms, and some are more popular than others, so the numbers get rather complicated. But a pragmatic estimate of the earnings from a hit song per month is an incredible total of $400,000. Moving on to royalties. The first royalties that come to the mind are plays on the radio. It seems obvious that any time a song is played on the radio, the artist would be paid a small amount for their troubles. However, this may be a surprise, but in the US, terrestrial broadcasters, otherwise known as AM or FM stations, do not pay performers or sound copyright owners. They only pay the songwriters. Radio airplay is considered a public performance, but these public performances only generate performance royalties for songwriters. So as much as Britney Spears and Rihanna have been featured on the airways, for most of their hit songs, they didn't make a cent from the radio stations that aired them. The songwriters of huge songs like Poker Face or Rolling in the Deep make around $500,000 per year in royalties. It's the songs like these that continue to be played year after year that pull in the big bucks. But royalties extend much farther than just the radio. Mariah Carey recently went on record explaining that her hit song, All I Want for Christmas, still earns her $60 million every year just from royalties. I mean, it makes sense considering how often you hear the song, but $60 million? That's a lot of money. Of course, this isn't the best comparison considering that it's the most popular and most played Christmas song of this decade. What an absolute banger it is. According to income research from Northwestern University law professor Peter DeCola, The bottom 99% of working musicians earns on average 10% or less of their income from songwriting royalties. The top 1%, however, earns an average of almost 30% of their income from songwriting royalties. And that 30% represents the biggest portion of a 1%er's total income. This makes sense, considering it's the big hits that anyone really cares about or uses. This statistic just goes to show that once you've begun to make significant money in royalties, you've already made a killing off of your music. In the music world, royalties are kind of like sponsorships. Once an artist gets to that point, it's just a massive cherry on an already massive pie. As far as the money garnered from album sales, physical or digital, as long as we're still assuming the artist is independent, they get pretty much all of the income from the direct album or single sales, unless it's through an avenue such as iTunes, where they will probably confiscate about 30% of that sale. While it's not as popular as streaming, an artist with a killer song at the top of the charts will make hundreds of thousands from these purchases from their fans. As the great J. Cole once advised Little Pump in his track 1985, never quit touring, cause that's the way we eat out here in this rap game. And that's true. Touring and performing live in front of enormous audiences is where artists who are attracted to record labels make majority of their cash. Depending on how popular you are, a hefty concert can pull you in between $50,000 and $100,000 a gig. That's one night, and you're pulling in 6 figures. Eventually, you'll start to feel like Floyd Money Mayweather himself. Say, on the reins of a hit song, an artist goes on a tour around Europe where they play 50 different concerts. If the artist is on the higher end of the popularity spectrum, they'd be making $5 million easy from that tour. Not to mention all of the merchandise and physical albums being sold at the concerts, as well as smaller contributions like meet and greets and things of that nature. Then, of course, there's the general snowball effect that shows up in any business related to media. A hit song brings the artist to stardom if they're not already there. This variable is immeasurable but can't be ignored. Once the artist reaches this point of ubiquity in the culture, then winds of social media will take them from there. The face and name of this artist are now valuable for the indefinite future. The artist is now a celebrity, and the money is simply something that comes with that. There are plenty of other factors that are difficult to quantify but still add up to a significant amount of cheddar. Things like sponsorships, monetization of content, and guest appearances are all big cash grabs for artists and can be a direct result of a hit song. Long story made short, the least a hit song can make you is a millionaire. Artists like Mariah Carey make millions upon millions from their hit songs, but not all hit songs come from such popular artists. You've heard Tainted Love, but have no clue who Soft Cell is. You've sung along to Come On EILEEN plenty of times, but Dexy's Midnight Runners just doesn't ring a bell. You've likely never heard or remember hearing of the band The Knack, but you've undoubtedly heard their hit song, My Sharona. This track, as well as the others, are the epitome of one-hit wonders. Burton Avere, lead guitarist of The Knack and one of the songwriters of My Sharona, literally lives off that one song. He definitely put it best when he said, "I'm lucky." When people ask me what do you do for a living, I say I just go to my mailbox a couple of times a month. That song has been so good to me. Avere hasn't made another song even close to the magnitude of My Sharona, but he couldn't care less. So, the real answer of how much does a hit song make you is enough. My Sharona is now a diamond record with over 10 million units sold. Legend has it that Avere, the lead singer Doug Fieger, wrote the 1979 mega hit in just 15 minutes. They mixed it in just 15 minutes as well, after recording the majority of the song, including lead vocals in a single take. That's all it took, and from then on, their bank accounts skyrocketed. That 15-minute song would go on to sell 500,000 copies in 13 days, making it the fastest debut single to earn gold status since the Beatles' I Want to Hold Your Hand back in 1964. Whether it's an unfamiliar band like The Knack or a musical powerhouse like Mariah Carey, recording that hit song is what it's all about in the world of music. What's your favorite hit song? Do you have a favorite one-hit wonder? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. As always, I'm Mr. Luxury, and thank you for watching this video. Pip pip de doodly doo.